What if I told you the very thing introverts were punished for growing up? Being quiet, observant, withdrawn, is actually their most powerful weapon. What if I told you there's a banned brain hack that flips the power dynamic? Not through noise, but through precision. This isn't just about confidence, it's about control over yourself, over your thoughts, and eventually over the way the world responds to you. Because when you learn this hack, the one they don't teach in school, the one most people can't handle, you stop being controlled, and you start controlling perception. This is the mental reboot every introvert needs, and it's not motivational fluff. It's a calculated shift in how you process your inner world. And once you activate it, you'll take back control of your mind, permanently. Let's be honest, most introverts walk through life carrying invisible weight. Overthinking, self-doubt, emotional residue from conversations that happened hours or even days ago. You remember everything, that awkward pause, that fake laugh, that one time you said "you too" when the waiter said "enjoy your meal." And because introverts spend more time in their own head, they start to believe everything they think is true. That's the trap. Your mind becomes a loop, a distorted movie that replays worst-case scenarios. And without realizing it, you become a prisoner of your own intelligence. You're not broken, you're just mentally overloaded. Your mind isn't the problem. The unfiltered chaos running through it is. Because introverts don't just process things, they reprocess them again and again, trying to find the meaning behind every word, every look, every pause. It's exhausting. And over time, that inner noise starts to feel like your personality. But here's the twist. That same mind, the one that spirals, is also the key to your freedom. Introverts don't need more confidence, they need clarity. Because clarity is confidence, just on mute. When you're clear, you don't over-explain. When you're clear, you don't chase. When you're clear, you don't people-please. You become dangerously still. And that stillness, it's not weakness, it's power waiting to be aimed. But to unlock that power, you need to install one mental program most people never hear about: the banned brain hack. Let me introduce you to something I call the identity override protocol. This is the banned brain hack that flips the entire way introverts experience their thoughts. It's not meditation, it's not positive affirmations, it's reprogramming. Here's the core rule. You are not your thoughts. You are the one who decides which thoughts get to stay. Introverts absorb energy, they observe everything, and if they're not careful, they adopt everything too. You pick up moods, expectations, silent judgments, and your brain, trying to protect you, starts running emotional simulations around the clock. What if they think I'm weird? What if I mess up? What did they mean by that look? Here's the shift. You don't need to kill your thoughts, you need to curate them. Think of your mind like a Spotify playlist. Every anxious spiral, every self-doubting loop, it's just a track. You can hit next. You can even delete the whole album. The identity override protocol is about installing a mental firewall, one that filters every thought through a single lens. Does this support the identity I'm becoming or just drag me back to who I used to be? That question becomes your override code. Your old programming will resist. It'll pull you back into old thought loops because they're familiar, not because they're true. But every time you interrupt the pattern, you weaken it. Every time you choose a better thought, you rewire your default setting. And eventually, your mind becomes a space you control, not one that controls you. That's the override. That's the upgrade. And it starts the moment you stop reacting and start filtering. Here's where things get serious. Introverts aren't here to impress. They're here to observe, calculate, and move strategically. But without control of your mind, you move reactively, not intentionally. You become a sponge for tension, tone, and energy. And that overload turns into quiet self-sabotage. So let's flip that. Picture this. You're in a group. Someone says something condescending. It's subtle. A smirk, a half joke, a comment that cuts just beneath the surface. The old you would overthink it. Maybe you'd fake a laugh. Maybe you'd shut down. And then, You'd replay the moment 100 times later, adjusting your worth based on someone else's tone. But the upgraded you, the one running the identity override protocol, pauses. You feel the emotion rise. You don't suppress it, you observe it. And then you ask the question, is this useful or just familiar? You detach, you regulate, you analyze, and more importantly, you don't give them the satisfaction of a reaction. You're not reacting, you're responding from choice, not from habit. That's the beginning of mental sovereignty. You're reclaiming the controls. And it's not just about handling other people, it's about how you talk to yourself after the moment passes. Because the most dangerous voice in your life is the one that sounds like you, but isn't on your side. The one that doubts, that delays, that disguises anxiety as logic. This hack doesn't fight that voice, it filters it. You decide what stays in your mental space. You protect your mental real estate. Because once you control your inner voice, everything else becomes background noise. There's a reason kings sit while fools run their mouths. Stillness isn't weakness, it's calculated restraint. It's strategy in its most undetectable form. And introverts, they're born with it, the ability to pause, observe, analyze, but they're rarely taught how to use it as a weapon. In a world addicted to noise, speed, and instant attention, silence isn't just rare, it's intimidating. While others rush to speak just to fill the silence, the introvert who holds stillness becomes magnetic, unreadable, unshakable. Most people talk to feel relevant. Introverts don't need that. They gather data, they let others reveal themselves first, and when their mind is under control, no longer reacting to every emotional spark, their silence becomes impossible to ignore. That's when stillness becomes tactical. It creates a subtle tension. People lean in, they wonder what you're thinking. They start trying to impress you, not the other way around. This is called tactical silence, and it's only powerful when it's paired with internal mastery. You're not zoning out, you're zoning in. You're not ignoring, you're observing. And that terrifies people who are used to reading others easily. While everyone else tries to control the room with their voice, you control it with your presence. Because you've stopped giving away your energy for free. You don't laugh at every joke. You don't rush to validate everyone. You don't explain things that don't need explaining. And that restraint makes people respect you or fear you. You don't have to dominate the room to own it. You just have to make them unsure of what you're thinking. Stillness says, I hear everything, I need nothing, I decide when to engage. That's how introverts win, not with words, but with gravity. Taking back control of your mind doesn't start with others. It starts with a decision, a quiet internal shift, to protect your mental space like it's sacred. That means building boundaries no one can see, but everyone can feel. What does that look like? You stop over-explaining. You stop defending things that don't need defense. You stop offering full access to your inner world like it's some public forum. Because here's the truth. Your mind is private property. Not everyone deserves access. Not every opinion deserves a response. And not every thought, even the ones that come from you, deserves to be believed. You decide what gets in. You decide what stays. And most importantly, you decide how long it plays. Let's say someone says something passive-aggressive or disrespectful. The old you might dwell on it, take it personally, replay it over and over. But the upgraded you, the one running the identity override protocol, has a mental filter installed. You hear the comment, you pause, and you think, is this aligned with who I'm becoming? No? Delete it. Just like junk mail, you discard it without even opening the envelope. And when your own brain tries to throw negativity at you, you don't argue. You don't spiral. You don't engage in mental debates. Because debate is a trap. It pulls you back into emotional loops and insecurity. Dismissal is power. You don't reason with lies. You reject them. You filter them out like a king guards his castle. Because here's the truth most people don't realize. You're not fighting to control your mind. You're reclaiming territory that was always yours. And once you reclaim it, you protect it. You set rules, You enforce them silently, and any one thought or person that tries to cross that line, they get shut out. No explanation, no warning. Because this time, your peace isn't negotiable. And mentally, that's how you win. Most people never escape their mental loop. They chase confidence, buy courses, read books, watch videos, but nothing sticks because the root system, their identity, hasn't changed. They're still carrying thoughts they didn't choose, beliefs that were installed when they were vulnerable, and stories about themselves that were never true. Introverts especially carry these stories quietly. But now, you don't have to. This banned brain hack isn't a trick, it's a choice. To stop letting your brain run the show like an insecure director. To stop reacting to every thought like it's gospel. To start choosing your mental inputs the same way you choose what you wear, eat, or post online. You take back control by doing one thing. Filter. Ruthlessly. Ask yourself every time your brain speaks, is this useful or just familiar? Does this thought serve the identity I'm building? Who does this voice sound like, and do they even matter? This is how introverts go from overthinking to overseeing. This is how you quietly shift from controlled to in control. And if even one part of you felt seen in this video, do this. Drop a comment saying, "I will control my mind." Let the world scroll past noise while you level up in silence. And if you're the kind of person who prefers quiet power over loud drama, you already know what to do. Subscribe quietly and let the transformation speak for itself.